It's a frightening thing to serve on a jury, especially when a man's life is hanging in the balance. Before you stands Jesus, the Israelite from Nazareth, and his fate is in your hands. You're probably thinking, this is old news. You know how it ends, and there's nothing you can do about it. That decision was made 20 centuries ago. Jesus was sentenced and convicted by both Jewish and Roman courts. It's all ancient history. And it's true. Jesus was sentenced and executed centuries ago, but he didn't remain dead. He rose again, he lives, and he stands before us now. And again, we're compelled to make a decision. As he himself said, you're either for him or you're against him. Like it or not, the decision is yours. And it's a decision you can't ignore. It's either yes, you're with him, or no, you're not. There's no way out. There's no middle ground. Jesus is on trial here and now, and you are the jury. What we'll be bringing you in the course of our Lenten services this year is a retrial, a new trial, a crucial trial that will go to your hearts. Witnesses who knew Jesus will speak of their experiences with him and their feelings about him. The prosecuting attorney will try to tell you that Christianity is a hoax and that Jesus is a fraud. And he'll ask for the death penalty. The defense attorney will speak for Jesus and his church. She'll try to answer the charges and convince you to vote for Jesus. The verdict is up to you. The responsibility is yours. You are the jury.
You may be seated. Counsel, call our first witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. I call Simon, son of Jonah, to the stand. Your Honor, as this witness is known not only as a follower of the defendant, but also named as his second in command, I ask the court's permission to treat this witness as hostile.
Permission granted.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your name?
Simon, son of Jonah.
Your occupation?
I'm a fisherman.
But these days you don't spend much time on the sea, do you?
I'm now a fisherman of souls. I spend my days teaching others the word of Christ.
Christ? You mean Jesus from Nazareth, the carpenter's son?
Yes.
So this Jesus, he pays you to spread his word hither and yon to whoever will listen?
I receive no money for my service. I teach because I believe in the wisdom of his word.
Belief? I think that goes far beyond belief.
That is true.
I would suggest that when it comes to this man, Jesus, fanatic is a much better choice of words.
Is that what you believe?
Yes, I do.
Perhaps fanatically so.
I'm fanatic about the truth.
You have no interest in the truth. Your only interest is to win. Truth be damned.
So if your leader does not pay you to spread his teachings, how do you pay for food and lodging?
There are those who invite us into their homes so they may hear the word of Christ. They break their daily bread with us.
So you sponge off other people.
I would not call it that, nor would they.
Because they are too gullible to realize it.
That would be your opinion, not theirs.
Your Honor.
The comment is withdrawn. You said your name is Simon, but aren't you better known as Peter?
That is the name my master gave me.
Well, I have before me here a story of how you got the name Peter. It was written by Matthew, a member of your cult, This is what he says. Jesus went to the territory near the town of Caesarea Philippi, where he asked his disciples, "Who do men say the Son of Man is?" Some say John the Baptist, they answered. Others say Elijah, while others say Jeremiah or some other prophet. "What about you?" he asked them. "Who do you say I am?" Simon Peter answered, "You are the Christ, the Messiah, the Son of the living God." "Simon, son of Jonah, you are happy indeed," answered Jesus, "for this truth did not come to you directly by my Father in heaven. And so I tell you, you are a rock, Peter, and on this rock I will build my church." Is this an accurate account of how you got the name Peter?
Matthew was accurate in what took place.
The name Peter means rock, doesn't it?
Yes.
So your rabbi said he was going to build his church on you. He did say that, didn't he?
Yes.
That means, doesn't it, he appointed you leader of the disciples, the big wheel, the head of the church?
Doesn't mean all that to me.
Oh, what does it mean to you?
I enjoy some favors and also am burdened with additional responsibilities, but I am no more or less than any of the other disciples of any of my master's followers.
Oh. Do you remember the night when your rabbi was taken captive in the Garden of Gethsemane? In fact, you acted like a coward, didn't you? In fact, you ran away.
I did not run away. That's a lie. I drew soldier's sword in defense of my master. I struck and cut off the ear of that soldier in defense of my master. I was prepared to die in defense of my master.
Oh, so you defended him. You know, that's strange because there's no report of such an act of courage taking place.
That is because the soldier was healed.
Healed? I see. Healed by this Jesus, I presume. Just another day, another miracle. Do you expect me to believe that?
Not in your current state of denial and ambition.
You always have a ready answer for everything, don't you, Peter?
Not always, but you make that easy for me.
Simon, you talk big, but that's about as far as it goes, isn't it?
Is that a question?
Before all this happened, you boasted to your rabbi that you would never forsake him, that you would die for him if you had to, didn't you?
Yes, and I would.
You make brave promises. You want us to believe that you have an unshakable faith in God, that your loyalty to your rabbi is unfaltering, but when the chips are down, Mr. Rock looks out for Mr. Rock, doesn't he?
My love for my master is unshakable and unfaltering.
Love is a pretty strong choice of
In
words.
some cases, not strong enough.
The same goes for contempt.
Objection. The counsel is harassing the witness.
I'm merely trying to get to the truth.
Well, let him
Your Honor.
answer then, unless you want to take the stand yourself.
Well, that would be great because it would make it a lot
Okay,
more
would the
clear and
prosecutor
easier.
please?
The council will deliver their comments to the court in the proper manner. I will not admonish counsel again. You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Do you remember a few occasions when you fell short of the name that your rabbi gave you?
There have been times I haven't lived up to my name.
Such as how you acted when the preliminary trial of your rabbi was going on in the palace of the high priest?
I have not kept my sins a secret.
Well, in fact, you acted like a coward, didn't you? Not just one time, but 3 times you denied, even with an oath, of being a disciple.
Yes, it's my greatest regret.
You lied, saying you did not know who the Rabbi Jesus was. You did this when some soldier asked you about your connection with him, and you did it again when a harmless little girl questioned you about it. You lied to save your skin, didn't you, Mr. Ross?
My master knows I was repentant and has forgiven me.
Well, that doesn't change anything.
For me, it changes everything.
You know, I am still looking for the reason why you are called the Rock. And you know what? There isn't one. Simon, son of Jonah, your rabbi misnamed you. He didn't build his church on a rock. He built it on a hollow shell that collapses under the slightest pressure. No more questions, Your Honor.
You wish to cross-examine.
No questions, Your Honor.
The witness may step down.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you have heard the testimony of Simon, the prince of disciples of the Rabbi Jesus, the man on whom he wants to build his church. Judging by his own testimony, what kind of man is he? Well, he's a hypocrite, a coward, and a fraud. Now, what does this say about the church and about Jesus himself? Might we not expect to find the same degree of fraud in all the best Christians that we have found in Simon? And we do. They make promises and pledges of loyalty to their rabbi in the safety of their little church meetings. But once they step outside, it's business as usual. They renege on their vows for 30 pieces of silver. They run from their release like scared, frightened little children. People who do not have convictions cannot have the courage of their convictions. The Christians I have seen, they don't have convictions. All they have is meaningless dogmas and shibboleths, which they rehearse and recite in parrot-like fashion in silly church meetings. It's Jesus who's on trial here. He's the leader of the movement. He, not Peter, really is the rock on which this church is built. He's the author of all the lies. He gave Peter his name, and he gives all Christians his name. He demands of them the pledge of allegiance. The fraudulent church is his creation. So I ask you, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, in the name of honesty and justice, to declare Jesus guilty and to put him away. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, my colleague has attempted to establish that on several occasions, Peter acted like a coward. She states that he ran away when his master was taken captive in Gethsemane, and this was not true. She also states that Peter denied his discipleship 3 times to save his own life. That is true. But I ask you, does that one failing mark this man a coward? If anything, it marks him as human, right? With all the fears, flaws, and inconsistencies that we all exhibit in times of distress. Frankly, my colleague has nothing to be gained by bringing all this up because, come on, we already know these stories, right? For thousands of years. The whole world knows them. You also know who told these stories and spread them to the end of the earth. Not Peter's enemies, but Peter himself and his friends. Peter, who was their source of information, Peter gave them license and even encouragement to circulate these stories, which frankly put him in a pretty bad light. And you know what, ladies and gentlemen? That is an act of great courage. It is moral courage. It is the courage to say, I did wrong when you did wrong. The courage to say, gosh, I was really a coward when you were a coward. It is the courage to confess your sins to God and to people and to be willing to suffer all the consequences. Peter has that courage. So, why would Peter want the whole world to know about his big sins? He wants us all to know that the love of Jesus is genuine. Peter wants us to know that no matter how tragically you fall, no matter how many vows of allegiance you have broken, Jesus, he's ready to take you back. So, what should you, the jury, do about Jesus, who's on trial here today? Let me put it this way. If you have no sins to confess, if you have never in your whole life acted cowardly, if you unfailingly keep your word, then find Jesus guilty. You don't need him. Frankly, he's a nuisance to self-righteous people. But if you are a sinner, if even just sometimes you break your promises to God or to man, just once in a while you care far too much about saving your skin or your reputation, If, in a word, you are a frail human being, then let Jesus live to forgive you, to put you back into God's favor, and to give you some important work to do in his church. I leave the verdict to you.
Very well. This trial is adjourned. This court is in recess.
As we go from this place, let us take a moment now, later in the day, in this week, to find those places in our heart where we harbor doubt. Doubt about God, doubt about life, doubt about ourselves. Where we, like Peter, feel like a coward, a fraud, a hypocrite. And let us allow God to come and give us a new name. Beloved, precious, forgiven, adored. Peace of God that surpasses all understanding will guard our hearts and our minds. Go in the peace of Christ.
Go in peace and serve the Lord. Thanks be to God.